Sexual. Some people are straight, and some people are gay. Maybe I'm just sexual. 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 Something for the top, and something for the bottom. But we're all just sexual. Sexual. We're all just sexual. Sexual. Yeah. Hey, we're not in the 60s, but yet we're talking about the same things. So why are we having these same discussions? It's so interesting that you find it fascinating. Who I'm sleeping with and what I'm doing. Why do we all need these labels? Your character is all that matters to me. You shouldn't let ideology and favors make you stop loving family and friends. Some people are straight, ooh yeah. Some people are gay, ooh yeah. Maybe I'm just sexual. 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 Something for the top, and something for the bottom. But we're all just sexual. Sexual. Just sexual. Some people are straight, ooh yeah. Some people are gay, oh yeah. Baby, I'm just sexual. Baby, I'm just sexual. Sexual, ooh yeah. Something for the top, something for the top, something for the bottom, something for the bottom. But we're all just sexual. Sexual. We're all just sexual. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why do we all need these labels? Is he gay or straight or somewhere in between? Yeah. Don't let ideology and favors make you treat your brother or your sister differently. Yeah. Some people are straight. Some people are straight. Some people are gay. Some people are gay. Maybe I'm just sexual. Maybe I'm just sexual. Sexual. I'm just sexual. Something for the top. Something for the top. Something for the bottom. Something for the bottom. But we're all just sexual. Sexual. Just sexual. Sexual. Some people are straight. Some people are gay. Some people are gay. Some people are straight. Maybe I'm just sexual. I'm just sexual, baby. Sexual. I don't need a label. Something for the top. Something for the top. Something for the bottom. But we're all just sexual. I'm just sexual. We're all just sexual. Yeah, yeah. Sexual. 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 Some people are gay. Some people are gay. Oh, sugar.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on with my dramatic ass? And I'm learning goddamn fades and shit. What's going on, everybody? Oh, the name of the song is called Sexual by B Slade. Shout out to B Slade. I love me some B Slade. That is a person who uses their gifts and talents in a righteous ass way. I'm excited to see his new branding, or I guess new level of evolution that he's about to enter into. So it's amazing. It's dope. You said no, put it back on. I think that's going to be the theme song, and B Slade going to be all over this, because at the ending of the song is going to be B Slade as well. So I guess this is going to be the theme song for the book. But again, the name, okay, Just all. Also, that's fine, Miss Donnie. Yes, 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 yes. Again, the name of the song is called "Sexual" by B Slade. Okay, shout out to B Slade. Hope that you guys are having a great Wednesday morning. I ask, if you have not seen it yet, that you please check out my previous live I just did literally minutes ago, entitled Black Accountability, Addressing the Divide Between Black Elders and Black Youth. And we kind of got into a little bit of a nuanced and context conversation in reference to the situation going on with 50 Cent and his son, as well as Romeo Miller and Master P, and kind of just looking at things from a higher perspective. No pun intended, because y'all know I get down with the weed. Praise the Lord. But just looking at it from a humanity standpoint. It's 3 hours long, but the commentary is good. The commentary is good, baby. Make sure that you got something to smoke on or something to drink on, because I feel like some of us are going to have to be in altered states of consciousness to try to understand or to allow it to be acknowledged in our present reality, and then work to that point. Like, we're going to create an anchor point and then work towards that anchor point. Yes, I love it, but thank you. Shout out to Donna B and to Naries. Y'all always in the chat. I appreciate y'all. Look at us building our own little something, okay? Our own little something. You know, do not despise small beginnings, bitch, because it's happening. All right, but before we get into chapter 4 and 5 of The Cross in the Closet by Timothy Kurek, girl, let's get into our motherfucking disclaimer, okay? Copyright disclaimer, okay? I should have pulled it up. I should have had it already pulled up. You already messed up. She messed up. She fucked up. All right, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay? Excuse me, oh Lord. I've been drinking water, shit been burping lately, girl. Anyway, let's get into chapter 4 of the live, entitled A Will. Chapter 4, Will. Okay, Will. Okay. Let me see the comments one more time. Love you too, Donna. Look at me, y'all. Look at us building our own stuff, y'all. This is real community, girl. Challenge, girl, and I had an amazing role model and an amazing blueprint to motherfucking build off, girl. So shout out to them, okay? Bitch, I am forever they son, girl. I am forever they daughter, whatever, girl. But daughter, son out here doing other work too, bitch. In different areas. Okay? So anyway, chapter 4, Will. There is a fine line between tolerance and rejection. Waking up to that fact has costed me dearly. In the past 3 weeks, I've received emails and text messages from people whom I've always believed loved and valued me. But now, I know the truth. Instead of speaking with me in a personal way to understand my decision, many of these people took the easy path of judgment, and they did so using the impersonal and soulless tools of social networks and email to do the dirty work. Upon hearing the news of my coming out, multiple friends voiced their concern over my evil decision, but instead of speaking to me in person or even on the phone, they resorted to black letters on a white page, and not the kind I can touch and feel and fold up to put in my pocket. They manifest their worldview so impersonally that I am left wondering if they ever really loved me to begin with. On the other hand, I also feel relieved. I don't know how much more I could handle right now. Patrick, my old nemesis from Liberty, messaged me the other day and asked me how could I claim to love Jesus and be gay. I told him that I did love Jesus, and he told me that I may love him, but Jesus doesn't love me. I told him that I did love Jesus, and he told me that I may love him, but Jesus doesn't love me. Just like that, because the label of my orientation changed, he says that the gospel doesn't apply to me anymore. 4 of my other friends got together and let me know with one clear voice that they could not condone my decision. They said that upon my repentance, not only would my relationship to Christ be restored, but also my relationship to them. But until that day, they could no longer, in good conscience, continue to be my friend. These were just a few of the responses that I received after sharing the news, but these few hurt the most. Pastor, friends, enemies. Karma really is a bitch. I take Sean's advice, and in the weeks following our conversation, I spend as much time as possible in the small gay district of Nashville. I read the books in the LGBTQ plus bookstore and drank coffee in the LGBTQ plus cafes attached to the bookstore. I eat dinner and drink beer and spend more time with Sean at Tribe, and I try to make friends whenever possible with the only community that doesn't judge me for whoever believes me or not. I feel benign resignation, and with each trip I make to Church Street, I become more comfortable. The people whom I've always considered moral pharaohs, I believe it's called pariahs, or I'm gonna say pariahs. Pariahs are becoming my grief counselors. The abominable, my only support structure in a time when I need love and acceptance the most. On Wednesday nights at Tribe from 6 to 8, well drinks are over $1, and the result is a crowd. A huge crowd. A huge gay crowd. I still find it slightly unnerving to go from a life in the pew to a life on the bar stool, but I am content with the change. I approach the bar in the 3rd room, attached to the restaurant, and see someone I know. Tending bar is my childhood best friend. When he sees me, he grins. Tim? Will? Oh my God, is that you? Will runs from behind the bar and hugs me. Oh, I'm so happy to get your message. I was hoping I'd see you one of these nights, he says excitedly. After coming out, I emailed him to share the news, and I have hoped for weeks I would get the chance to reconnect with him. How have you been? I asked. The reunion brings back a flood of memories from my childhood, and more recently, the day I found out he was gay. I'm great, still in school. I don't know if I'll ever graduate. Will is dressed in a tight t-shirt and jeans, and his hair is spiked. He looks good, and he looks happy, contrary to everything his mom has told him. Let me buy you a beer. I want to hear how life has been since you dropped the bomb on your family. I met William when I was 6 years old, and we were in Cub Scouts together. Our mothers became instant friends, bonding because they were both homeschooling their young children and because of their conservative faith. So, for years, Will was a big part of my life. We played t-ball together, did our schoolwork together, and he came to my high school graduation. But Will was always different from my other friends. 2 years before my experiment, I bumped into Will at an American Eagle in the same mall I worked at, and he introduced me to his fiancée. But after talking with him for a few minutes and then hearing the news about his engagement, I felt perplexed. Will wasn't like the guys I surrounded myself with, and I even wagered with the co-workers who knew him that he was secretly in the closet. I hope he's not just another queer, I remember saying. But in the back of my mind, I always had the suspicion, excuse me. Several months later, Will got married, the mall I worked at closed down, and we lost touch once more. I decided I was probably wrong about his being gay. A year passed, and I bumped into Will's mom at the grocery store. She seemed very upset when I asked how Will and his wife were doing, quickly changing the subject without answering. I gave her my phone number, but just like that, my childhood friend was once again out of my life, and my curiosity about Will was again left unanswered. In February, 4 months before the fated night with Liz, Will's mom called me, and it didn't take more than a few seconds to hear her crying on the other end of the line. "Oh, Tim." She took a deep breath. "I've got a problem and I need your help." "Well, what's wrong?" "Will's marriage is over. His wife caught him making out with another guy, and they decided to get a divorce. And now Will thinks he's gay, and you're the only one who could get through to him. I know he's devastated. We are all devastated about it, excuse me. I just know that the devil is influencing him." She paused for a second, taking a few deep breaths. "Me? What could I possibly do? Would you please talk to him and try to help counsel him out of this? You're in the ministry. If anyone can do it, it's you. Please, just try." She sounded desperate, and her confidence in me inflated my ego. "I'll try. What's his number?" I took down the number and told her I would pray for her and for Will. "I'll do what I can, and I'll try to show him that what he's choosing is going to hurt him. But that's all I can do." For the next 2 months, I called Will nearly every day, multiple times. I left voicemails and sent emails. I showed up at his work. He wasn't there at the time. And I talked with his Christian friends about him. I even met up with one of his closest friends and had a strategy meeting about how we could show him the light. And all this time, I was talking with his mom about him, trying to get the latest intel on what he was doing so I could finally catch and convert him. But nothing happened. Will never answered his phone, never responded to my emails, and even stopped talking to the friend I had met with. Looking back, I can only say I am happy he did. My approach wouldn't have done any good because it was not the approach anyone ought to use. There was no love in my methodology. I became an expert javert or whatever that's word called, excuse me. This is BubzDaGawd ratchet, okay? It is what it is. Trying to hunt down a moral criminal. Though I believed I was fulfilling my moral obligation, I became an antagonist in the story of Will's life. "So, how'd your mom take it?" Will asked with concern. "She seems to be taking it okay, but it's obviously not what she would have chosen for one of her sons. The understatement of the century. At least she's trying. I know what Will is, inferring. About that, the pang of guilt washes over me. Will, I really need to apologize." "Why?" "Tim, you don't need to apologize to me." "No, yes, I do. I harassed you. I was trying to change you. My intentions were flawed from the beginning. Your mom called me when you came out and wanted me to help counsel you out of it. I feel like an idiot." Will's eyes show sympathy. "I appreciate that, but don't worry. You weren't the only one. She still refuses to believe that I'm not that perfect little child she always thought she had. But she'll figure it out eventually." Will smiles. "I'll be okay. And Tim, you're forgiven. I saw you, and the first thing I felt was guilt because of how I treated you." I've been treated much worse, believe me. Another understatement. So I saw you got a boyfriend. He seems like a nice guy. Has your mom met him yet? I asked. Yeah, but she won't have anything to do with us together. He's not even allowed at my house, and they won't see us together, he says. I can see that he's struggling with his mom less than warm welcome. God only knows why he's putting up with it. Makes me love him more, though. I see him dealing with my parents, and Andrew Caldwell, back your ass up, bitch, off my tongue, girl. I see him dealing with my parents who don't like him, and I can't help but be thankful for him. So he treats you well? He's a prince. Will's face lights up when he talks about his boyfriend, and I can see he's in love. You deserve it, Prince. I'm just going to give my mom time. She still thinks her ex-gay therapy groups will straighten me out, but until she realizes I'm being me, we won't be able to move forward. I can't imagine. If my mom tried to shove ex-gay literature at me, I'd probably throw it right back at her. Reparative therapy, they call it. They should call it repression therapy. Well, it looks like you've got a line of thirsty men, I say. And a few that want to drink too, he says with a laugh. It's awesome seeing you. We need to hang out soon. He nods. A few steps back towards the bar, he stops. Oh, and one more thing. Do me a favor and realize that in every community, there's good and bad. Don't get caught up in the bad, no matter how much you may want to. Well, what do you mean? You're free from the closet, free of the closet, but don't lose yourself by acting out. Take your time acclimating and don't rush into anything. I see too many guys come out and in the happiness of it all, make some very unwise decision. Break the stereotypes, Tim. There is an opportunity to break the stereotypes. He turns and walks back to the bar where a line of people wait to order drinks. I will, I say, even though he is too far to hear me. I'll have to ask him to elaborate, but for now, that's my part. But for now, I am so caught off guard by Will's concern for me that I don't know what to say. I wonder what's worse, rejecting someone for being gay or accepting him with ulterior motives. Will's mom, who has always been very sweet and caring, is not only permitting a wall between herself and her son, she's helping to reinforce it. I just don't get it. How can someone separate themselves from another person, especially a child, using theology as bricks and dogma as mortar? It makes no sense. I think that's a problem with conservative theology. It allows one's belief to keep one from a relationship. Ooh, say it again. I think that's going to be my next quote. I think that's a problem with conservative theology. It allows one's belief to keep one from a relationship. Okay? And, unfortunately, she has fallen into the trap. Will is her son, and by keeping her boyfriend at arm's length, she's keeping her son at a distance. I feel distraught for Will, and I wish his mom would love him without trying to change him. Even more, I wish the same for myself. Loving without motive seems like the more Christ-like way to go, but maybe it is more easily said than done. Maybe this year, I'll get to a place where that is not only my mindset, but my habit too. And ladies and gentlemen, that is chapter 4, called Will. Okay, I'm glad that y'all enjoyed that. And with that being said, we're gonna take a little break real quick. We're gonna get back into the sexual song, okay, the theme song of this book read-through series, Girl, the Cross in the Closet, and we will be back in a motherfucking few. Y'all get into it. See y'all soon.
people are straight, and some people are gay. Maybe I'm just sexual. Looking for the top, and something for the bottom. But we're all just sexual. We're all just sexual. Yeah. Hey, we're not in the 60s, but yet we're talking about the same things. So why are we having these same discussions? It's so interesting that you find it fascinating. Who I'm sleeping with and what I'm doing. Why do we all need these labels? Your character is all that matters to me. You shouldn't let ideology invade us. Make you stop loving family and friends. Some people are straight. Ooh, yeah. Some people are gay. Ooh, yeah. Maybe I'm just sexual. Something for the top, and something for the bottom. But we're all just sexual. Some people are straight. Ooh, yeah. Some people are gay. Oh, yeah. Baby, I'm just sexual. Ooh, yeah. Something for the top, something for the bottom. Something for the bottom. But we're all just sexual. Yeah. Why do we all need these labels? Is he gay or straight or somewhere in between? Yeah. Don't let ideology and fables make you treat your brother or your sister differently. Yeah. Some people are straight. Some people are straight. Some people are gay. Some people are gay. Maybe I'm just sexual. Something for the top. Something for the top. Something for the bottom. Something for the bottom. We're all just sexual.
Alrighty then. Okay. Again, the name of the song is called Sexual by B. Slade. Shout out to B. Slade, okay? His creations are going to play the themes for this book reading series. Amen. Praise the Lord. Okay, anyway, we're going to chapter 5, which is entitled Church Street. Is you ready to go to church? Church. Alright, let's get it. Chapter 5, Church Street. One of the great theological fundamentals instilled in me for as long as I can remember is that we are all born into this life with an albatross of sin hanging around our necks. This weight and pressure is designed to force a sense of spiritual immediacy and urgency as we live and share the gospel of Jesus. It is a belief that says all of us are broken and unable to enjoy a relationship with our Creator until we repent and turn away from our sinful selves. Coupled with this idea that we are unable to know God until we repent is the idea that those living in sin are incapable to knowing salvation. For gays and lesbians and those that also make up the community, it doesn't matter if you've been raised in the church, if you love Jesus, and are fluent in the religious language. God's truth will simply evade you until you turn away from your same sex attraction, gender expression, and give your struggle to the Lord. That is, you cannot know God and be an unrepentant homosexual. So, I am surprised as I eavesdrop on a conversation at the bar. It is more of a religious debate, really, between a well-dressed man drinking a cranberry vodka and a bartender with both nipples pierced and wearing a spiked dog collar. I'm just telling you, the businessman, a regular, says that I believe that what the Bible says is true. I don't believe that we could evolve in trillions of years, much less billions. Randomness doesn't allow for that kind of order. Ben, get serious. I'm not saying the Bible isn't a great book. I'm just saying that I don't think Genesis 1 and 2 should be taken literally, the bartender says. Or much else, for that matter. Well, if you think it's a great book, why can't you have faith in it? I'm not saying I don't agree with a lot of it. I'm just saying that I think this planet has been around a hell of a long time and a lot longer than 6,000 years. Is this even possible? Are they actually debating young Earth creationism? The implications of this are overwhelming to me. I'm in a gay bar, for Christ's sake. I wish my high school Bible teacher were here, though I doubt he would be listening. He used to refer to bars and lounges as upholstered sewers, my lord. My lord. Look, I respect your opinion. Don't get me wrong, Ben says. I've just found that the evidence people cite for evolution doesn't seem to hold much water. With each second that passes, I lose patience. It is the first time I have been at the bar and heard people speaking my language. I had to interrupt. Excuse me, but are you guys actually talking about young Earth creationism? Both men turn towards me, and the bartender nods. What do you think? Ben asks me. That's an irrelevant question, I think. I wasn't there, so I don't really know how everything came to be. I definitely believe in God, and I'd like to think that creation accounts are literal, but I don't really know what I think, nor do I really care. I was inundated, I believe that's the word, with young Earth creationism in science in college at Liberty University. To believe in evolution was tantamount to being pagan. If the first 2 chapters of the Bible aren't true, then how can anything else be? At least that's what my teachers always said, coming from the perspective of biblical literalism. So you're a Christian? Ben looks at me, engaged, and genuinely interested in what I might say. The bartender, sensing an opportunity to escape, moves towards another regular at the other end of the room. I am a follower of Jesus, but honestly, I don't know what that means anymore. This is the truth. Several weeks have already given me a sense of disillusionment, and I am overcome with doubt. If the people of God, who claim to know Him better than anyone else, would treat me the way that they have, it is hard for me to allow myself to believe blindly what I have been taught by them. I completely understand. It sounds like you're searching. Ben smiles and moves to the stool next to me. You have no idea. If you're searching, you will find the answers. Look, I'll pray with you. It is the first time in weeks that prayer has come up without a deeper motive attached. One more time. It is the first time in weeks that prayer has come up without a deeper motive attached. Thank you, but would you mind if I ask you a personal question? Not at all, Ben says, sipping his drink. How can you be gay and still be so conservative in your faith? I was listening to your conversation, and you sound like a Southern Baptist. Ben looks down thoughtfully before answering. I'm fairly conservative in that I take most of the Bible literally, but I don't believe the Bible addresses gay as we know it. I guess I just try to follow the 2 great commandments above anything else. And yes, for the record, I do go to a Southern Baptist church. So, what would you say in defense of your being gay and being Christian? I believe God knows me more than I can even know myself. And I believe He loves me more than I can ever love myself. And if that's true, what else is there to know? Ben's humility is a breath of fresh air, and it takes me a second to remember I'm not talking to a typical believer. But is his faith really legitimate? Fair enough, I say, fearful of the direction the conversation might take me. If it is possible that Ben actually has a relationship with God, then what the church has told me all along could be wrong. And the consequences of that are something I do not want to contemplate right now. I am not ready for any of it. I am still struggling to understand the effect of what I consider to be unrepentant sin on a relationship to God. I saw you guys talking to Will the other night. You guys old friends? Yeah, we grew up together but have just reconnected, I said. He's a great guy, a total lover. He loves everyone who comes to this bar, and everyone loves him back. That's not hard to imagine. So, what's your story? Are you like new to Nashville? Ben asked. His enthusiasm is contagious. No, I've lived here since I was 2. Well, why haven't we met here before? Ben probes innocently. Well, I just came out in January, I replied nervously. Really? Ben's inquisitive expression turns into an all-out grin. I'm so happy for you. And before I can respond, he hugs me. Of the thousands of hugs I have had in my life, this one feels different. I feel a totality of acceptance, a sense of overwhelming support, and I feel valued. Ben isn't just, hugging me. He is sharing his heart with me, and I am ill-equipped to respond. Devin, get Tim here another beer. We are celebrating his coming out. Seriously? Oh, wow, well, this one's on the house. The bartender pours me another Blue Moon. Blue Moon is good, bitch. Ooh, it's so good. And puts an orange slice in the edge of the glass. You ain't sponsored by Blue Moon? Welcome to freedom, he says, putting the beer in front of me. Cheers to your new life, your search for faith, and to gorgeous men's. Ben toast and our glass clunk together, spilling a few drops of beer on my thumb. I cannot help but laugh. Hell yeah, to the gorgeous men's, I say. Hear, hear, the bartender says. After another hour of conversation, I'm convinced of 2 things. The first is that Ben is perhaps one of the most interesting men I have ever met. The second is that Ben defies most of the stereotypes I have ever held about the faith of an openly gay man. Until now, I have not met someone who claimed to believe the Bible literally and still openly referred to himself as gay. I was taught that gay Christians are universalists, meaning that if there is indeed a heaven, then everyone goes there regardless, of their deeds, belief, or sexual orientations, gender expressions, etc., and that they hold a non-literal view of the Bible. To hold a literal worldview would mean their sexuality is a sin, and they only attend churches whose parishioners are predominantly gay or lesbian. But Ben seems to be every bit as conservative as I am, and he goes to a, run-of-the-mill Baptist church. Not only is he a young earth creationist, he believes in the divinity of Jesus, the necessity of repentance and salvation, and most surprisingly, he believes in a literal hell. But how can he reconcile his life and his orientation while living the life of a social and theological conservative? One thing is sure, he has lived my life in a bubble. The fact that there are men and women who share Ben's beliefs demonstrates how broad the social spectrum is within the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender plus community. It is so broad that I hesitate to use the words community, a word that Ben explains negates the profound intricacies, I believe, of the queer associated populace. Now, Ben makes a point to introduce me to the regulars that he says I should be friends with, and one of them really makes an impression. Phil is in his 40s, balding, and wearing glasses. Phil is the epitome of soft-spoken. Even his handshake is gentle and friendly, and I feel as though I will break his hand if my own handshake is too firm. Tim just came out of the closet, Ben tells Phil. Oh wow, congratulations, Tim. How's it been for you so far? He asks, tilting his head down towards me. He speaks in a soft, almost inaudible voice, and his demeanor doesn't leave any room for discomfort. I guess it has been pretty smooth. I only lost a few of my friends, and the church I used to go to. Bless your heart, hon. He puts his hand on my shoulder and takes a deep breath. It strikes me as interesting that I used to shun the touch of anyone I perceived to be gay, like they had some sort of disease I could catch. Additionally, if a man called me babe or hun, I would have been irrationally livid. But now it feels okay. Not only does it feel okay, it feels encouraging. It feels human. So, what's your story? What's your story, I say. I found myself asking about people's stories a lot more lately. You ain't the only one, trust me. Well, I came out at 30, and my parents weren't too happy about it. But I don't blame them. They were taught by people who didn't understand that being gay isn't a psychological malady. It really is easier for you younger folks nowadays. Have they warmed up since then? I ask. Well, my dad died 4 years ago, and my mother was absolutely devastated. She moved into my house with me and has been there ever since. She figured it out, but it has taken time. I don't know if she ever would have if my dad hadn't passed. Well, I'm glad she's figuring things out, or she figured things out, excuse me. I wish I could. Do you have a boyfriend? No, but I'm happy. I don't want to settle for someone that I'm not supposed to be with. I may never find someone, but that's okay. Phil speaks in such a way that I can see he's reliving his life as he chooses the words to answer my questions, and I can tell he has made peace with the ghost of his past. But saying that it would be okay not to have love in his life stirs something deep within me, and without thinking, I speak. I hope you do find someone. It'd be such a waste if a beautiful man like you didn't find love. And what surprises me even more is that I actually mean what I am saying. Tim, I can tell you have a good heart, a gentle heart. Don't let life make you cynical and take that away. Stay you no matter what, because I can see grace in you. Phil doesn't attempt to hide his emotion and hugs me. Once again, I feel the same connection and sense of kinship that I did when Ben hugged me. A bond that I would not have anticipated with a stranger, much less a gay stranger. And I don't know what surprises me more. And I don't know what surprises me more, the connection I feel with these two men, or how much I hope Phil does find someone. To wish that, after all, would mean I hope he remains homosexual, which in terms of my religion would be completely morally wrong and unnatural. But is it? Both Bill and Phil are gay. There's no sidestepping that, no sweeping that under the rug. It is confusing to feel fondness for two guys who are so different from what I was taught to expect. Nothing about their orientation feels unnatural. They aren't at the bar on the prowl for a one-night stand. In fact, both are against casual sex, and neither has had more than 2 or 3 drinks. They are only at the bar to meet other empathetic souls, people who won't judge them for who they are, but both seems to have looked inside me and validated who I am beneath the hardened dogma. Phil even tells me that he believes I'm gentle and hopes I never end up cynical. Maybe beneath all of the bullshit, I am. Maybe they can see what I cannot even see in myself. And I hope so. Otherwise, how will I ever accomplish anything? I say my goodbyes to Ben and Phil and drive home in silence, stunned by the gaping holes in my assumptions. I do not just feel ignorant. I feel cheated. Like I have been held back from people that could have spoken hope to me after all of my life. But I was not allowed to listen just because of their orientation. Tonight, I found friendship. I found camaraderie and kinship. Tonight, I found fellowship. Tonight, I found pain and loneliness, but also hope. Tonight, I found a part of myself in a gay bar on Church Street. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of chapter 5, entitled Church Street. How did you guys feel about that read through? And I already told y'all, for those of y'all that's new, baby, I make mistakes, I stutter. Andrew Carwell be trying to be on my ass, and he like women's. He be on my tongue a little bit, trying to fuck it up. That's okay. But how did y'all feel? And shout out again to Timothy Kurek, because that is the biggest point I want to make. If we are really going to sit up here and talk about being Christian, that's derived from the word Christ, to actually walk in that. And I love how Timothy is walking through his fears, his insecurities, him being uncomfortable, him acknowledging his uncomfortableness, him addressing not only being uncomfortable, but the guilt and shame that comes with that, because his project, his experiment is helping him to stay in alignment, to really follow this out and walk in the footsteps, in the likeness of Christ, which really is love, to actually walk in that for real, not to perpetrate it, not to sit up here and speak about it and act like, put on this mask and these illusions and the terminology and the language and the appearance, but to actually practice it and put it into application and to manifest it through all of its phases. Timothy did something that was revolutionary. And really, it's not really that revolutionary, because people have been doing that for a long time. And according to the narrative of the Bible, Christ even died for all of us. He didn't know me as BubzDaGawd in this reality, but he didn't have to. That grace and mercy and love was so sufficient that it covered all of it. And if only we could tap into our emotions. But do you see how Timothy was struggling with his own stuff, his own insecurities, his own lack with being challenged with the actual experience? To challenge the actual experience. And you see how the experience made him challenge his thought process and his identity, which was deeply rooted in religion, something that was taught to him. It's like no tea, no shade. If you have somebody who went to college and has the qualifications, and then somebody who has the experience, who do you think has the upper hand? Who do you think has the, I don't want to say upper hand, who do you think has the greatest awareness? A combination of both of those things would be excellent, but who has the better awareness? The person who looks good on paper, or the person who has the actual experience? And no tea, no shade, experience, I feel like, will always trump anything else. But see, Timothy faced the feeling of being uncomfortable and being turned off and feeling all these things to stand in the viewpoint, because what he felt in that moment is the exact same energy that a lot of those people have to deal with LGBT plus in the world every day. That's why love is important. That's why Christ said at the end of the day, because I know y'all gonna be doing these mental gymnastics and y'all gonna overcomplicate things. It could all be so simple. Christ was talking to Lauryn Hill as when she said that. But if instead of doing all those things, follow these 2 commandments, and these 2 commandments is for everybody. Let this be the foundation. Once you build the foundation, then you can do flips. Once you do the foundation, then you can do acrobats. Once you have a solid foundation to build upon, then you can explore, then you can go forth and see and all these other things. But let these 2 things be your foundation. Love the Lord God with all your heart, mind, soul, body, spirit, essence, all of who you are, the totality, which means you have to also include you. Because you're in it too, boo. And the world will try its best to persuade you that you're not, but you already in it. The fact that you here proves that you in it. So love God, which means include loving yourself and all sides of you, knowing that there's redemption. And to treat your neighbor the way that you want to be treated. If I love myself and I honor myself and I know who I am and I can walk in both my masculine and feminine energy, walk in both an open mind, a renewed mind, and an unhardened heart, a soft heart, a heart that is open. And I apply that to myself. I have to apply it to other people. It will come automatically, because instead of us seeing the differences and vilifying the differences, we can acknowledge the differences, heal from the differences, and align in the similarities. At the end of the day, we're all human. Because again, Christ didn't just die for some. According to the narrative, he didn't die for a few. He died for it all. And my black, gay, leprechaun ass is just crazy enough to believe it. And if I go to hell at the end, I guess I'm gonna have to go to hell, but at least I'm gonna see though. And that's where real faith comes in. And on top of it, if I do go to hell, Christ was already there. I ain't gotta stay, because he paid it all. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you with this song for anybody who is dealing on both sides, those who have been hurt by the church, those who've been used and abused and manipulated by religion and just discrimination. But for the context of this conversation, this book, religion, this is for you, but it's also for those like Timothy who really want to understand, but are scared to challenge those parts of themselves because of what indoctrination has done for you. Because we've been looking good on paper as opposed to the actual application and the experience of it. Because Timothy's struggling too to understand. And we're all struggling to understand each other. That's the problem. What's up, Amber? Good morning. I'm gonna give you some DoorDash after this. Give you some Coney breakfast or something. But y'all, there is so much work to do. But it's good work. At least it's good work. And I'm gonna do my part, because I only have one life to live. And I want to live this bitch to the fullest, so that when I do draw my last breath, however that goes down, I can die knowing that I did what I could to help make a true change in the world, not for a particular group, but for all. There is no I in team, but there is me. M-E? M-E is in team, girl. You need the M and the E to spell team. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave y'all with this song. B Slade again. Shout out to B Slade. His voice is the spokesperson, all shrouding and surrounding this read through. But he did this cover of the song called Tears, Language of Tears. And I hope that it helps you on today. Please like the video. Excuse me. Please share your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree. I don't care. Share it all. Let's talk. Okay? And I will see y'all again on the next live. Y'all have a good morning. Peace.
Feeling so lonely, feeling so down when you need someone. No one's there to be found. The pain inside can't be expressed verbally, so you cry on your pillow. You don't know what you're saying, but I know an interpreter of tears. And when your voice you cry, it lends no opinion. Oh, God understands the language of tears. He knows all about all your pain and your fears, when you're right and you're wrong, when your friends are gone. He's a shoulder to cry on. God understands your tears. You can't keep it bottled inside, so just let it out. In God you confide. That's what He's there for. He knows all your pain. It's alright to cry. Joy will come in the morning, but I know interpreter of your tears. When your voice will cry, there's no fear. Oh, God understands the language of tears. He knows all about all your pains and your fears, when you're right and you're wrong, when your friends are gone. He's a shoulder to cry on. God understands your tears. He understands the language of tears. Oh, the language of tears. And not crying so many tears, when you're right and when you're wrong, when your friends are gone. He's a shoulder to cry on. God understands your tears. Yeah, yes. He knows all about your pain. Oh, yes, He does. He understands your tears. It's alright to cry.